Oh, I don't know why mine is running. It's kind of annoying. Let's see. Oh my goodness. All right. I think I'm almost ready here, maybe. Let's see. Main screen. It's main screen. It's gonna show. What is it gonna show? Oh, it's blank. Hmm. Well, if my game ever loads. Any day. Any day now. Oh, there we go. Nice. Ooh, new outfit. That's already been out though. That's a kind of a cool scenic atmosphere there. Blossom trees and the color. Kind of cool. All right, let me do my farming, or not my farming, but my cooking real quick, and then we'll do another hour at Bloody real quick, and then probably jump on to some Raven Dawn, potentially. Okay, NPC, you gonna let me talk to you? Huh? Really? I hit R. Just come on, come on, load in. What are you doing? Load in. Hello. Oh, come on, man. I hate that sometimes. Ugh, really? Nothing's gonna work here. Okay. Such a delayed response. My goodness. Hopefully this is not. Let's see. Two okay. Two okay. Alrighty. Where is? I need inventory. There we go. Okay, we'll put that in there, and then we shall do some boxes here real quick. Need to turn this off. That was already off. Let's see. It's kind of exciting. I think I saw in the notes where they released where we can now do the new accessory. That's kind of exciting. Probably won't do that anytime soon, but I will at some point. I'll give me another 3 more AP, which is kind of hype. All right, let's see what's hot and new today. Oh yeah, this dragon looks so cool. That is really cool. Like, look at that. That is so cool. It's probably honestly one of the coolest pets I've seen yet in this game. I mean, he's balling. It's kind of like he's got a little like Dragon Ball Z ball there. Pretty cool. Um, 33 crowns. 33 crowns. One per family. What is this? Old Moon Fortune? Wow. Look at that. Look how huge that scythe is. Man, why can't this be a male character? Like, you know how cool this would be to play this as a male? Gosh, that is such a shame. Such a shame. I hate that. I hate gender lock. Hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. So frustrating. Okay. Okay. All right, let me get to my striker. We'll drop the loot off. And we'll do 1 hour without Agris and kind of see what we get for loot. This just in. Black Shrine shortcut now open. Haha, cool, cool. Gosh, I haven't done Black Shrine bosses since like since they released, I guess, or I guess until I got the flame. Ever since I got the flame, I haven't done them since then. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll get back to it. All right, come on. Load. 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 Are you kidding me right now? What is going on? It's so slow. Well, load at some point, I guess. All right. Finally. So, hop on my Jose. Such a cool mount. All right. Oh, storage keeper. I think, yep. Okay, let me drop all of this off. Hopefully, I have enough room. Oh, I do not have enough room. Hmm. Well, this is interesting. What can I get rid of? Well, could throw these away. Oh, it's too heavy. Huh. Do not want to mix up the loot. Okay. So I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna sell that real quick. Let's see here. Shop. Sell that. Okay. I'm gonna take this, 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 and what else am I gonna take out here? I feel like I don't really need that. All right, I'm gonna put this in, this in, that in, that, that, that. A bound item. Oh, that's annoying. Put that in there. We'll put that. All right, I think that was it. Maybe. I'm starting to second guess myself here. All right, let me throw that away, that away, that away, that away, that away. All right, and then let me put these up here. So 1209. It's bounded to. Put these down here. Okay, I think I should be somewhat ready to do 1 hour here. Okay. Oh, let me take. Oh, we do. That's it, bruh. Where I got my camera out. It's face. You can't. Here, I'll put it more towards this way. Don't need no peeping toms. Not for free, she says. Oh my. Oh my. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Leave my horse alone. Don't kill my horse. Don't kill my horse. Oh, my horse is dead. It's 100% dead. 100% dead. Yep. You gotta be kidding me, dude. Not really. Can't believe my horse just died. Oh my goodness. A little Friday, you say? I think I just bought 2 of those. Him. 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 I feel like I need to keep this consistent too. Secret book. Let's see. Find secret. Oh, that's so sad. I have 33,000 loyalty. I'll just get it anyway. All right. Oh, let me recover my horse real quick before I forget. Okay. He's back alive. Hopefully. You know what I should do is go out of the Elvia zone and let me repair. No, leave me alone, dude. Stop. Okay. Let's scroll. We're gonna do 90 minutes. Okay, and they're still coming after me. Dude, I can't right now. I can't. Can't. Let's see. Hit that. Well, at least they're coming for me, I guess. Just don't touch my horse. 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 Suckers. Alright. So, let me get my loot scroll. Let me add 2 of those. Yep. Alright, and then let me go ahead and play the video here.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Old Moon
Hey,
Podcast,
welcome
episode
back.
44. Right?
Yes, sir.
44. I'm gaming. Okay.
Welcome back.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
back.
I am your host, Blue Squadron, joined as always with my 2 wonderful co-hosts. We'll start with Blonde first.
Hello, it's me, Blonde Bear. Still grinding for the Merchant Ring and LVI, chilling at Thornwood and Olin's. Catch me at twitch.tv/blondebear to watch that.
All right, right on. And Jakun.
Hi, my name is Jakun. I'm an Awakening username in 765.
All right. I feel like I'm so behind with my podcast watching.
Checking out the game Palworld since it's on everyone's radar nowadays. And
Okay. I think we're good, boys. Okay, go ahead and play.
find me over at twitch.tv/JakunVTV before the T.
Right on. All right, so this first topic, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know how to say it. Israhid Plateau.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
First try.
That's what I would have said too. Yeah.
Right on. Look, I don't know. I'm American, bro. I just do it. You know what I mean? My sailor's name is El Cap.
Am I right?
Yeah, my.
All
Okay,
right,
screw
here we
you. My sailor's name is El Captain Blue because that's what it says, Captain Blue in Spanish. But like, you guys didn't know that because I literally made it Spanish with the L. But like, today's first topic is the Israhid Plateau. So for those of you that don't know, this is the southern Ulukita grind zone that they're adding. And there's a lot of opinions about this grind zone. I will say that like the translation was not super great. Like the Korean translation was not super great. And it wasn't, I don't think it's actually on live servers quite yet, unless KR got it like a couple days ago.
It's on KR.
Okay,
It's
so
on
KR literally
KR.
just got
Okay,
it. So
okay.
we're gonna be talking
I don't know how good
about
it is or
this.
not.
This is our first topic here. You guys are the PvE lords. I am but a PvE child, if you will. Although I've been grinding a lot more lately. I'll be honest. I'm kind of becoming one of you guys. I love my grind content. But like, so what do you guys think about the plateau? I'll start with Jakun. This is one of your topics.
So first, just
All right,
to
let's hear
talk
it,
about
Jake-kun.
the region. It's the region itself is South Ulukita. It has a very snowy aesthetic, which was like very definitely caught me off guard. I mostly associate like Amedia and Ulukita to be more like savanna and canyon-like zones. So the snow makes me think that
Oh,
perhaps Mountains of Eternal Winter Part 2 might be a possibility in the future.
a-
Mhm.
actually,
That's kind of cool.
Actually,
Snowy.
it's not really a savanna. But
mm,
yeah, that's fine. It's all right.
more
But yeah, no, you're
like
right.
a drier area.
Yeah, it was more of a, yeah, it's like
And
a transitioning. Yeah.
yeah, and Eternal Winter came out in April of 2020, so it's almost been 4 years
Holy cow, it's been
since it never came
4
out on console.
years.
But it came to us
Oh
purely,
my
like Ulukita came to us
gosh,
purely as like an
4
end-game zone
years?
in like small batches
That is
of content.
nuts. No way it's been
I
that
enjoyed my
long.
time there. I think out of all the three zones, I probably liked City of the Dead most due to the satisfying kill mechanic. But the final zone, Ezrahed Plateau, features this like these mobs with really interesting aesthetic. Like it's a mechanical aesthetic. These are mechanical mobs, which I think the last time we saw more mechanical mobs were in I think it was Marnie's labs zones. I don't think is there any other. I guess yeah, I think those are the only mobs where we have like mechanical stuff. I guess ancient city stuff, like ancient civilization stuff, like
Yeah,
Eastern
you
stuff
do.
are kind of like
No,
mechanically
no,
ish.
those are just
No,
like ancient like
they're
weapons. You
they're
know what
like
I mean?
robots,
I
ancient
mean,
weapons. I guess so. Yeah.
I actually love that they introduced this new like
A
mechanical
week
like
ago.
hextechy looking grind zone
Yeah.
with Scholar. I feel like
So
Scholar in
close
the
to a
lore
week
could
ago.
be like the inventor of a
Mhm.
lot of this stuff. Would be super sick. So,
Maybe.
yeah, Blonde, what do you think about it? Blonde, you're muted, big dog.
Whoops, I'm
Oh.
so sorry. It looks cool. The monsters look cool. The design looks cool. I love the steampunky aesthetic as well. Very reminiscent of like Marnie type stuff. And yeah, during with
Mhm.
the Alchemist or sorry, Scholar, the Alchemist like coming out, it's kind of like on point, on key. Very cool. Uh, that's about as far as that goes. So I don't, I don't understand why this spot was released.
What do you
To
mean?
be honest.
What do you mean you don't understand why this was really? Honestly,
Okay. So
yeah. Okay, good.
we get Ulukita. We got the first two spots. They're progressively giving us more of the region, so it's like slowly trickle down content. We have the two other areas, and then they finally sprinkle in the boot, which
Okay.
came a little bit later because of the translation of the storyline. But it could have been earlier. But they release it, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Here's this new area. It's got the new boots. It's got the new artifacts. Everything everybody's been hyped for, and now what 2 months after that spot's out, after everybody's gotten their boot, most people have gotten their artifacts, at least the
I've not
first
got
set.
my boot yet.
Enters a new
Let's
area,
be honest.
same exact drops, same stuff, drops a little bit more fragments for the things, the artifacts,
I,
but there's nothing different.
Like-
There's nothing.
no, I am
There's
after
nothing
this. I'm gonna
special
do an
or
hour of
unique about
this,
it.
and then
There's no extra drop other than the style of the grind spot.
it's not sense.
And I just why?
It,
Well,
I
it's
think
just
they're
the
just trying to
story.
give people more like options to grind at because let's be honest, the Ulukita grind zones kind of
Sure.
suck. Like it's literally
Sure.
just kill the mobs. Like there's no like real mechanics. Are there mechanics? Sure.
Some
But it's
complexity.
just kill them.
Yeah, it's cooler
That's
looking.
every
Sure.
mechanic is just kill them.
Mechanically designed, I think it looks really cool and it's fun. And these machines explode.
What
and they
is
keep
the
killing
mechanic?
the mobs. I guess
Hey,
just from what I've seen a few
sometimes
clips. I
basic
haven't
works.
seen like a full nonstop video of it. But basically, there's something that activates the conductor thing. I don't know what you want to call it. The machine.
I can explain some of the mechanics if you want.
Yeah, please,
So-
please do.
So you have this big giant ofen, like mechanical ofen tet or offen tet, however you pronounce it. And one of the legs will glow a red color, and you gotta hit that leg. And once that leg
Yep.
gets destroyed,
With
it will
games.
topple over,
Mhm.
and then the body becomes vulnerable. Once you hit the body, these elites will spawn. And then once you kill the elite, there will be these green zones you can stand in to get the green Ulukita buff that we've been getting throughout the other Ulukita zones. And that allows you to get empowered, and then you can just keep killing the waves of mobs. And
Yeah, you can
then
just leave it in there.
something interesting
fold it
happens
later.
once the structure
I'm streaming.
or whatever the mob
Yeah.
is called gets back up. Once it gets back up, it starts pulsing in damage, but not to you,
Oh, that's
to the
fine. Just leave
mobs.
them in
Like
there.
it
I'll get them
instantly
later.
kills the mobs for you for like 30 seconds, and so you can just stand there, take a break for 30 seconds, and it will kill mobs for you. And then the mechanic repeats. You topple the leg over, kill the elite, get the green buff, then gets back up, and then you get a little bit of a break. And that's the gameplay flow, which interesting design for it. I don't know the exact reasoning for allowing. I guess they wanted to give players a break when grinding. I kind of thought it would have been an interesting like maybe party grind zone in Ulukira, where you had this big giant mob. Usually when I think of big, party grind zones, I like fighting big giant mobs with my friends.
Did you
And
just
it's
say
kind
the
of been a
mechanic will
perfect
grind for you?
opportunity for
Did I
it, but
totally
it's
miss
still
that?
a solo zone. It's still a
I think I
solo
missed
area.
that. That's
So
interesting.
Yeah,
He did say that.
I think it absolutely could have been a party grind
Hmm.
zone. Like I was surprised when it wasn't.
I think that when I say like what was the point of releasing this spot, it's not a group spot. It drops nothing else special unique. The only thing cool about it is the looks, because it is different looking than the other three spots that all look exactly the same in Ulukita, and the mechanic. But like other than that, it's just I guess a cooler Darkseeker's Retreat. But yeah, I completely agree. The spots look large enough that like it should have been a group spot. But I don't know if maybe that was their original intention, and then I don't know, maybe the backlash from Olin's feedback over the last few months to KR has been like,
What was the
oh, we
place
hate group
called?
grinding, we don't have any friends, we don't join guilds, we don't like playing with anybody in an
They don't like
MMORPG.
What the
Dude,
heck?
they don't like
Yeah, I didn't know we
really.
had a load in
And
the.
so maybe that fed into it, but like I don't know.
I didn't know we had a
Having like
load in the dryer.
4+ new solo
So
grind
that's a
spots
rip.
introduced, and then like maybe one group spot isn't really the worst thing ever, especially if it doesn't drop anything unique. So
Oh,
if
well,
it
at
was a
least I'll be
grind
set
spot, I'd be
for
like,
the rest
this
of
is
the
going
week.
to be awesome. I can't wait to go here with some friends. Like I know plenty of friends that want to go and get new second and third sets of the artifacts, but it being a solo spot,
Yeah,
maybe if they released it at the
that
same
too.
time as
Probably would
DSR,
help.
then it would have had I guess a purpose.
That'd probably
Because
help
then
too.
it's like, oh, there's like what 15 to 20 rotations
I
of
don't know.
Darkseeker's
I don't
Retreat,
even
and
know
you
what the
can't
place
find the
is
spot, and
named.
then this is your extra spot, and you'll get less
So dumb.
embers, but you'll get your artifacts faster, which is a good compromise if you have to go to the side spot. But it not having anything else, it just seems kind of
Another
odd.
niche.
Yeah, there's nothing. Now they could add something in the future, which they've done to plenty of spots. Right, all the debos were technically added after those spots were already in the game. So that could be it, but it just other than looking
Yeah.
at the mechanics, it seems silly.
Oh wow.
There could still be a possibility where they can rework. If you look at the
Whew.
collabs, they're reworking Darkseeker's Retreat.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. They're
in
changing it
different ways,
completely, and it
And
looks
we have no idea.
really cool.
And we have no idea what's happening with it.
No.
Bro, when Inven went to go translate it, Hugh's trying to translate it. Everyone's trying. Google can't translate it, obviously, but like no one can figure out what exactly they're trying to tell us is happening with Darkseekers.
We'll see. I mean, it seems like they've got some kind of like summoning mechanic and like something else. They also talked about redoing the other two spots as well. They mentioned that in the, I don't know if it's the Coffee on Ball or something else, one of the letters where they said that like they know players are disappointed and they want it buffed because there's feedback about how the spots are garbage, which mechanically maybe they are, but not literally. Maybe City, I guess, is technically on the lower end, but Tungran is ballin'. Like it's a good spot. So kind of silly. I don't know. I just thought that like, yeah, I just thought that like I was really hoping it was going to be a group grind spot because I literally when Darkseeker's Retreat came
I'll
out,
get them
I was
later.
literally in a 4 or 5 man party and we were just running around at the same plateau together.
Are you folding them
that
for
was
me?
fun, and we weren't even killing the same mobs. We were just killing it next
Bruh,
to each other.
why are you
The
folding them? I can
camaraderie of,
fold
like,
them.
getting to hang out with your friends when the new big rush for the new
I'm gonna
comes
unfold
out,
them.
and everybody's doing it all together. Like that's really fun and enjoyable to do, but
I appreciate you
like
folding them.
It could have happened with the new spot, and they
I
just
do.
were like, I don't know, missed opportunity.
But you didn't have to.
I just think that like having.
Do you appreciate me starting a
like, again,
a
4
load
to 5
of
other
laundry?
grind spots isn't the worst thing in the world.
Well, I got
You
it
know, like,
started, and I
seems sort of
took the
worth it.
initiative to put the laundry in the washer.
Yeah, I mean,
Seems
like
odd.
it could have been a group grind zone. It could have been incredible. Number one, number two. Why are they adding it? We don't really know. Doesn't really matter. Like, okay, extra grind zone, cool. It alleviates the need to grind Darkseeker's Retreat. You can grind this place instead. Although I think it has basically the same gear requirement as that. That's right, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's not even a higher gear rec, which would be cool because if it had a higher drop rate, but it was harder or more mechanically challenging, then that would also be cool too because it's risk versus reward. Or maybe it was an easier spot and they dropped less, but it's neither of those things. If it would have came out at the same time, again, that what I said earlier, that would have probably made more sense too. But now it just feels like they're trying to fill up the world. Now they could be adding stuff in the future and they just wanted this to sit here and simmer for a little bit, get the Land of the Morning Light 2 coming out later this year, and then they'll go back to like editing some of that, or maybe over the next few months they'll edit it. But it just seems
done like Anna subs, dude.
I don't know, because like
What's
I get like
up,
Darkseeker's Retreat, if you
Rebo?
look at
What's
it
up?
mechanically, sorry, not mechanically, like look at the drops,
Oh.
it makes sense, right? You have like a pretty even drop rate of the flames and artifacts. Now some people had more or less RNG on either end of it, right? By the end,
What's going on?
but even if the flames are a little bit less, or even a little bit more, you're going to be there for your full artifacts. So you're going to be that guy who fulfills those orders for the embers or the next flame while you're working on your first set of artifacts, while you're working on your next set. Now the other spot is like, okay, you're going to get way more artifacts and less embers.
Yeah, wish I could get my
scaling, right?
my boots. What is
but
this?
It's like you need people to
Oh,
be
that's right.
those
This is the
flame
event.
orders too. So like you need the
Oh,
embers
I
and
got
flames
one.
to drop regardless.
Nice.
So even making the rate
One
safer
out
for the
of
sake I guess, yeah, I need to go back
200
there.
needed.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
I think I mean, yeah, I think the primary reason they added it for sure is just
What game you
because
playing?
like it drops more
I am
Kabua
playing
artifacts than
Black
it does,
Desert
embers.
Online.
And for someone like me, like people were stunned. I only got in terms of Kabua fragments. Let's see. Kabua,
Have you ever played Black Desert Online?
I probably pre-ordered 10 of these off the market, so I got maybe 46
It's a pretty cool
Kabua
game.
fragments in the time it took me to get 100 embers.
Okay.
And like I was not particularly carried on embers, so like I did get a raw drop of the Kabua artifact, which was like a huge W. But like
Lucky RNG,
raw drop, dude, like
getting the raw drop of
like
that.
the Kabua artifacts just do not drop for me, or like
What in the
the
world?
fragments just do not drop for me. So like I'm kind of glad they added it. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna do the spot because I'll be too busy in deck.
Yeah, I'm playing Black Desert Online though. Pretty cool game.
Yeah, because it's better for you to just put your pre-orders up. And again, even another spot having the exact same stuff. Now, if
it's been pretty much my main game for
Darkseeker's Retreat
many years.
unless the rework is changing it completely to be a whole entirely different spot, like it would just make
that
it
game
irrelevant. Like,
can
say that
PvP.
Debo
Yeah.
dropped from the
Oh yeah.
Israhid plains or whatever. Then like why
I would
you
say
keep
the
running Darkseeker's
PvP
Retreat? There's no reason
has gradually been declining, like open world PvP. Let me say that, open world
2,
PvP.
4, 6 artifacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think again of like a reason as to why they would do that.
But back in the day, this game was really known for its open world PvP.
Different stats.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's still got a lot of PvP and it's got arenas, right? So like,
one artifact,
let's
no
see.
matter what we're doing in the game.
Let me kill this back here real quick. Oh.
They could do some like extra.
So the main thing with this game right now, like I said, the open world not as much, still there, but you have the arena of Solaire, right? So this is like a 3v3 ranked arena, which is really fun.
There's all kinds of ideas, but
you have practice mode, ranked mode, and then the other aspect is guild wars or node wars. So there's nodes around the map here, and you fight for certain spots, and then if you win that spot, then you get taxes from that node. So just money, really cool.
Steampunk Miramok, like right? It's literally like an often holder destroyer. I'm like thinking,
that.
Bro,
you can just stand there.
What game are you playing right now, Revo?
What is that? What is it?
I think that's cool, bro.
It's right. I'm like personally, dude, I hope they got some story or quest behind it. I'm so excited about that.
Stop suggesting that there should be more quests in the game. What in the are you even thinking right now? Are you actually insane?
Like,
give me more quests.
No more quests.
When you kill them, and you know how they give you like a little like description. I'm really curious what the new mob's like purpose and description is, because that feeds into the lore too. It tells you stuff about it.
I would love to see more class specific lore. If I'm being honest, I would love to see
Really?
monster zones get tied to certain classes in the game, and like have them be like maybe like
Oh, look,
like
another.
nemesis. Like that, it would give
I
like
thought this was pretty
grind zone.
rare to
You could
get.
say
What
the
the
same
heck?
thing what you just said, Blonde. You
I
could
got
say
2
about
so
every
far in an
spot
hour.
in the game. There's really no
Not even
there's
an
not
hour.
a crazy amount of lore with regards
I'll take
to like
it.
spots in the game. I
Cool.
would love to see enemies in the game rise up, and then like in the lore, your class was like this is your class is designed to fight this, and then maybe your class is the best there.
Well, the problem is
I'm
that a
just
lot
saying.
of classes come from like different like the wizard witch come from different dimensions. The sage
Yes,
comes
but
from a
like
different time.
somebody could
The-
follow us
all the-
through the portal and then like have like like or like it's like oh they're from the same place we used to
Whoa.
be. You know what I
that
mean?
would be so
Oh.
sick.
Wouldn't that
With
be
the
cool?
Okay. Hold on. You just brain blasted me. Can you imagine like like the wizard
Fairness.
witch do some weird wuju tech with the wuju guy in
Mhm.
Magnus, and they create a portal to go to another? Because I'm like wondering, we don't have that much map left, right? We've got north of Valencia, we've got Land of Morning Light Part 2, and then whatever's south of Medaya in the desert, which is like Mountain of Eternal Winter 2. Technically, that's actually where all the dungeons are held, right? But we're running out of map. Could you imagine if we did a Magnus teleport to another world? That would be freaking crazy.
That'd be
That would
nuts.
be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, like it would
Like
be
an
super
underworld.
sick, but, like I think
That'd be
that,
kind of
like,
cool.
honestly,
be
we could
so
name this
cool.
new world Crimson Desert, and then we're all gonna go play
Crimson
that, and
Desert.
it
Oh my
really
God.
is gonna be the solo player
Oh my.
experience that we all wanted.
What if we go?
Oh
is-
my.
I think was Crimson Desert like set back in time?
It was
From,
technically
like,
It's technically
prequel?
before.
some of the
Yes,
early
it
interviews
is-
were that it was a prequel.
So
Yes, it's a
what
prequel.
if the Magnus teleport sends us back in time?
Technically, the Magnus does have
So-
stuff to do with timey-wimey
Yeah,
backwards
exactly.
stuff. So that's
Mhm.
not very. That's kind of on point technically.
On
Yeah.
brand, mhm.
Yeah.
Can actually do
Very
that.
much. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I know.
Actually. Literally, actually.
Yeah, no, I think that would be super cool. I just think that like there's some cool content that I'm thinking about doing that like that's the reason that kind of spurred that. Is like I think that it would be cool if like some of our characters were like when they came out with a grind zone, it wasn't just hey guys, here's this new grind zone, here are the mechanics and the patch notes. No. They released like a trailer where like one of the classes is in the trailer and like they have risen up to defeat whatever enemy comes out of like the it shows the enemies all showing up, and then here comes the Dark Knight flying from left screen. You know what I mean? And like the DK starts fighting all the mobs, and maybe they could include a little bit of the mechanic in there. It would increase hype for the content release, and I think it would give people a sense of belonging to their class, which I think Black Desert could do a lot better job of doing. Other games where you play a character, you feel a sense of belonging to that character. Like you only really see that expressed in BDO when we have like a tournament and like you turn on the tournament, and although you might not like PvP very much, you're like, oh, that's a ranger. You know, I play ranger. You know what I mean? So you're rooting for the ranger like naturally.
Yeah, it's gender
right?
locked. So much
Like, I
fun.
think that there could be more
Sure.
of that, and like it would be really cool if we saw more of that. And I think that it's like even just like a simple trailer of like watching your class be all badass and like square off against the mobs. With the new mechanics and stuff, I think would really increase hype for the game and also increase people's sense of belonging to their class. Imagine rooting for a ranger. I'll root for ranger, but it's for different reasons that you're rooting for the ranger. I only really root for ranger because they're both
Never played
rooting for
ranger.
Thomasilvia. I suppose we're both on the same side fighting
'Cause it's a
Abe,
female
and I'm a
class.
Dark Knight man at heart. Okay, so now we got to transition to our second.
All right, what's the second topic?
So
Come
our
on.
second topic today.
What is it? What is
catch-up
it?
Mechanics in BDO and this
Catch-up
idea of power creep
mechanics.
in the game.
Ooh, that's a
I will
good
say
topic.
that Black Desert,
All
as,
right.
as a general rule, has been very resistant
Yeah,
to
I think
power creep.
I think it
over
does
the
a really good
years,
job. I think it does a really good
as
job
a
with
game.
power creep.
I think that there's a very delicate balance when it comes
Yeah.
to catch-up mechanics in BDO, and like what the developers kind of allow, and like what the veteran players will kind of allow to be devalued over the years, right? So like,
Yeah,
if
I mean
a
everything's
player
pretty
quits the
relevant.
game for 2 years and comes back, is his gear still relevant, right?
Pretty
Is he
much.
able to
I
catch
mean,
up to the current gear curve in a reasonably appropriate amount of time? How do you guys feel about catch-up
Yeah.
mechanics right now? Do you think that they need to add more, or do you think that we're kind of in a good spot where we?
I think we're at a pretty good
Jay on the
spot.
last topic?
Plus,
I'll start
like,
with Blonde here.
a lot of stuff's kind of capped anyway.
It's kind of tough. For a long time, I thought that making the catch up too good would spoil the player base in a way. I used to think that, like, not that it was necessarily important that you had to go back to polys and make 20 mil an hour and then 40 mil an hour and then 100 mil. But I thought that, like, going straight into season and just popping out with basically 550 gear score and going straight into grinding, like, a 15 bill item or a 30 bill item or a 40 bill item. I don't know. I thought that for a long time it would be too daunting for the player base when they were initially announcing it. But now that it's been out for a while, it hasn't really had that effect. I thought that at first, again, I was like, oh, this is a bad idea. But then after seeing it actually in action, I was proved wrong, which I'm fine to admit that I was wrong about that. And I'm glad because now
Yeah.
players can hop into the game,
Yeah.
and Seasons have done a great job of catching people up to sort of get right into basically the action of the game. There are so many grind spots that they have immediate access to from like the seasonal gear score catch up. Now, the real problem is post that. I think that there are some issues with the design choice of, like,
Yeah,
for
the
example,
grind is
having
crazy
a
after that.
Kaposha in every slot, up to almost a pen Kaposha in every slot, and then kind of basically now we've given black stars, Tet black stars to everybody. So when they kind of finish season, they've got, depending on how much they grind and how much they've played, they're going to work themselves up to, like, buying one of 2 black stars, and then they're going to have their leveling up reward as another Tet black star. And then they could Tina their way to pen armors, or they do the conversion of, like, their Tuvala to pen armors. But the real part is, like, now you're telling people, like, oh, you have all your Kaposhas, which you don't really grind for. You get them through login rewards, you get them through doing certain quests and stuff, and you get them redeemed at certain levels. Now it's like, okay, what are we telling people to get? Well, now you do your Tinas for 2 free pens, which I
Yep.
think is good. Again,
Yeah, it's good.
slowly pushing the general AP/DP up.
Yeah.
But now it's like the most efficient thing to go for. As soon as you kind of finish those preliminary steps of the game, after, like, I don't know, 100 hours maybe, you're telling players to go for, like, a pen black star.
Yeah.
Or you're
The
telling
grind
them to
gets
go for 10
really
demos,
serious.
because when you're
Really
looking at, like, the
serious.
price points of certain things on the market versus what's, like, going down versus what's going up versus the economy,
But again,
like certain grinders, it's really crazy. You're going from okay, I just got, like, a 14 build Tet black star. Okay, what am I going for now? You're gonna go for
160
C10
billion.
on all your armors, which is 20, 40, 60, 80 billion silver on all your armors. You get C10. And you want to go
But at least that's
for,
kind of a slow, gradual progression.
a pen black star or Tet Devo, and it's like, I feel like that kind of
But going from
shockwave-
like a Tet
Don't keep
Black
Devo.
Star to a Pin Black
Tet
Star is
Devo disgusting
insane.
nowadays. No one
Right,
goes for Tet
it's-
Devo anymore. It's disgusting.
It's too what are you? It's too affordable. They're already getting
No.
listed and sitting on the market at
They're-
this point.
Yeah, but they're
Are
so
they?
getting a Tet Devo instead of getting a Tet Devo instead of getting a Pen Ogre is a miserably bad idea, because the Ogre gives you 1 more AP and it's cheaper and
Debo.
it's permanent. Let's be honest, eventually
Tet
you're gonna have to go for Pen Devo.
Devo.
And if you take your necklace
Yeah,
off and you
I
hit it and it
guess.
downgrades, you're losing AP, and that feels really bad. As opposed to just having the Ogre.
Yeah,
and then
I
when
guess
you're
it
ready
does
to
so
make
in the
the
market,
Devo,
but geez,
you go make the Pen
95.
Devo. So not only is it better in the short term,
Yeah.
it's better long term, because you've got the Ogre to sit on while you fail repeatedly for your Devo, because the game is fun and interactive.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that you would not want to buy something right now that's probably sitting high, and then it's going to go down to, like, probably half the price by the time you swap, versus getting, like, a
Well, the Pen
a Tet
Ogres
Devo.
are
then you
68 bill. Hold on. Devo.
Sure, right now.
No, well,
But as more and more
68.
necks get listed and more people upgrade, it's going to keep going down. Which maybe at a certain point it will be more affordable. But when we were looking, and this is, I was looking at the prices when they weren't just sitting,
20 bill.
we were looking at, like, only a 9 to 15 build difference, right?
Right.
So maybe those, as more people upgrade into Devos, the prices will go down, so the recommendations will be a little bit different. But it's still weird. I mean, you're telling people still to go straight for a 50 build item. Now, I think they've done a good job of maybe necessarily buffing a lot of the spots to make you make a lot of money. I know a lot of, like, Garmoth and other people say, oh yeah, you're making a build, a 2 bill an hour. Well, when you're kind of still progressing, you're not nearly making that much. But you can notice the differences as you get more gear and you slowly gear up and you're getting more and more money. So, like, your silver per hour is naturally increasing and you're able to, like, catch up to those things. But
Fundamentally,
s-
though, Blonde, do you think that the catch-up mechanics currently are good enough? Do you think they need to add? Yes or no? Do you think they need to add more? Do you think it's good, or do you think it's too much right now? Just at a baseline.
I don't know how to answer that because like when you get to that point where I was just saying where you're like looking at Devos or Pen Blackstar, you're with 90% of the player base that's all just putting pre-orders on crons. I don't think that's good. I don't think tunneling everybody into like just every single
Crons,
person in
yeah.
the game needs to buy crons is a
It's
good
so
thing.
annoying.
But I don't know. I think there needs to be a
Oh.
larger gap. I
I
don't know.
think.
I think that like having such
Yeah,
a
I can get
shortened
this one
gap where
now.
everybody's buying
Okay.
one specific
Now I'll
cron
go
and
ahead
then
and
upgrade
call in
is like
this.
not good. But
Cool.
me saying something like, "Oh yeah, I think they shouldn't add more catch-up mechanics to slow the player base," sounds like a bad thing. It's not that easy of a question to answer.
Maybe there should be more in between stuff because you said there's like a too big of a jump.
Yeah, it's a
No,
huge
I don't
jump.
even think so either. Because like, how do you?
No,
Because
It's a huge jump.
like for the player base for a long time, it's like you're
Jay gave
grinding
him
and
an
like
out. He didn't want it.
no, not even close, bro. You go from like 100 bill upgrade, and then you go from like a 100 mil upgrade to like a billion silver's my next upgrade. Oh, I got to get a Vel's heart back when that was like 9 bill. Oh, that's my 9 bill upgrade. And slowly you work on these goals that are like little by little.
Yeah,
But now
increments.
it's like it feels like that gap is
It's a
just
huge
so massive.
jump. It's
Like
a
I have all
huge
these
jump.
people that are like slowly gearing up, and it's like every single upgrade is a massive gap. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's a philosophical choice, I think, depending on what you think that the game design should be based around. I mean, personally, gloves off. I think there's way too many catch mechanics, and you should just have to actually play the game to get gear or do something.
This dude, 765 gear score, just sitting on top of his mountain of silver. Yeah, but maybe a new player doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
the next 7 years of their life to grind like
that's
this
why you
to
can
get
gear
to
up
where
to
you are
700 gear score
currently.
in 3 months.
Our-
how many videos
our
have I
neighbor's
seen of
jamming.
people that are coming into the game in less than 3 months? They're hitting
Because
like a
they're
million gear
grinding
score.
10 hours a day, every day. I love it.
Probably.
Choice goes, well,
that's the other
actually,
thing.
I got it in 68 days by one-tapping my pen Blackstar and
also don't
grinding
think
10
that
hours a day.
Every game is made for every kind of player. I don't think, if you don't have a large amount of time to sink into an MMO, you shouldn't be playing MMOs. There are some MMOs that have like 1 or 2 hours of activities that you can do, but I don't think that like I like the fact that if you can put more time into something, you get that effort out of it. So I don't necessarily agree with like players that only have an hour to play competing with players that put a lot more time.
Okay,
There's
so
a lot of
let me
other
ask.
MMOs that are designed
hold
around
on.
that you can play.
All right, Blonde, let me ask you something. So so it is your opinion that if you don't have more than an hour to play every day, you shouldn't even be playing the game, right?
You can play the game if you want. I just don't think that you should be like times 10 rewarded for it. You are rewarded for the time.
It's not
you put
necessarily
in this game.
about you should be rewarded for the time you put into the game, and a player
100%.
that plays 1 to 2 hours a day should absolutely be able to reach 700
Oh, don't
gear
right
score
there. Go in the
a
other room.
very
Let's start.
reasonable amount of time, given like BDO. You understand that BDO is such a grindy game that we consider 2 months a short amount of time in BDO, right?
Compared
So,
to a lot of other games that
Huh?
is a short amount of time.
right, but like in 700 gear score isn't even the end game. We're talking about like having a new player have the catch-up mechanics 1 to 2 hours a day. They should absolutely be able to reach 700 gear score in 3 months, I think. I think 3 months is a reasonable amount of time. If they actively like really giga chat 8 to 10 hours a day, they could probably do it in 2 months. But see, you understand that 700 gear score is only like the tip of the end game. See, because they reach 700 gear
Yeah,
score,
most
and then
likely.
they have to get to 750 gear score, which is like a whole that's like another 6 to 12 months.
I don't know. I think that the gap from 700 to 750 is like
Maybe he plays
for
guitar or
games,
something.
right? You're talking about Devos, which are costing like hundreds of billions in upgrade materials, and as well as the Try and Tent Fallen God, which isn't really even necessary. It's just like one of those goals that these freak grinders like me that want to grind nonstop and do nothing else go for because it's just something to go for.
I think
those should exist and should be there for those types of players that do just want to live on the game and play it nonstop. But I don't think that it's like I don't think we need to make like that be the real goal people should be going for. I mean, some people will because they're motivated, but I don't think that's realistic.
I think that expecting people to just not play the game if they're only playing for an hour or two every day, or just like hopelessly not be able to catch up to any in-game player that's grinding 8 to 10 hours a day is kind of an LK, if I'm being honest, just because you're gonna kill your game if you don't allow like a more casual play style in your game, and allow them to like legitimately like catch up over time. Like maybe not like yeah, sure. So Blonde, you have like the giga optimized gear with like this fully end game gear path, but like you're not going to have any. You always talk about trying to have party grind like group party zones. Well, what happens if J Kun quits the game for 4 or 5 months and comes back and now he can't grind with you at the end game grind zone, so he shouldn't be able to catch up to you? Like I think a veteran
that's a different
players.
question. I don't think that the cap. I think that the way they've done the cap of the game, where you can leave and come back in a year and the game still be relevant, I think that's one of the best parts about BDO, and that's
Yeah,
what allows players that can't
I
play
do
4
agree with
hours a
that.
day to
I do
always
agree with
still
that.
feel like they have the ability to
Yeah,
catch up at any point in time by over a period
gear
of
is
time.
always
They can catch up
relevant.
because the game is not every single 6 months updating a new
Yeah,
patch that adds 700 more gear score, right? Like a lot of other games will do that, where like World of Warcraft, for example, every like 4 to 6 months, you're
yeah,
getting a whole new gear set. You
irrelevant.
got to re-gear everything, and
Yeah,
everything is undone, and you just all your old gear is meaningless. And I think one
yeah,
of the best parts of a BDO is you could sit here and
it's
progress this game
always.
from all the way in the beginning 7 years ago, or you could just hop in now and still feel like you're relevant. Like you could take
Yeah,
6 months off and still feel relevant. I think that's
yeah.
important.
You can probably
Um,
take a year off and still
Yeah,
feel
but like
relevant.
again, like the fact that players really shouldn't, because you're going to discourage everyone from playing your game. New players do not want to play a game that they're like, "Hey, unless you're playing this game for 8 hours a day, you will never catch up to anyone." Or a veteran player doesn't want to come back, and if again, you have this same mentality that like you're never going to catch up and you shouldn't catch up, right? Like that's just it's just not a
I don't
good
know.
take, because you end
I
up
hear
at
the
the end of the
opposite.
day where no one is playing BDO because they just feel like they can't catch up anymore. Like I
Yeah,
get questions all the time about this. Like, is it worth coming back to? Do you think I can catch up in time? And my answer is always yes. If my answer to that question was no, we end up with no one to play with.
yeah,
I don't know.
that's
I
true.
hear the complete opposite, and we still have no one to play with. Where all these people catch up to 700 gear score, and then they're like, "Is there really even a point to grind? What's the point of grind? All the PvP's capped. There's nothing to do. Why
Well,
would
it
I
is.
go and hit
Everything's
this gear
capped,
score and spend all this time,
right? Except for
and
like
now I have nothing
sieges
to do?" I
and
hear
open
like the
world
complete
PvP,
opposite end of
which
that.
has
That
kind
like
of
they
decreased.
rushed to this point in the game, and now there's nothing to do, and now they're frustrated that they kind of wasted their time on it. So I don't know. It's kind of I hear the opposite end of it. I think there is a lot of catch. Do you not think that there's a lot of catch-up mechanic currently in the
It's
game?
not
No,
that
I think
loud
that there's
though.
a
Log
lot of
in
catch
a
up
single.
mechanics,
I mean, you can
but
hear it,
you
but
essentially implied that like there's almost too
yeah,
many
it was
catch
like
up
that.
mechanics in the game
Yeah,
that
mm,
that like players should not be playing
yeah.
BDO
I mean,
unless
if I
they
turn
can
the
play for
yeah, and
8
if
to
I
10
turn the
hours.
fan
The
on, I
players that
can't
do
hear
play
it.
for 8 to 10 hours get to have all of this stuff, right? Like
No,
I think, in my opinion, I think the casuals absolutely are an important fundamental part of BDO, and they keep BDO kind of going. I think that the vast majority of the player base
Oh yeah,
plays from 1 to 3 hours
oh
actively a
yeah.
day. They might be logged in all day, but like the 1 to 3 hour
Uh
active player base of BDO
huh. We
is
probably
what
did.
fuels the economy,
She didn't say
is
anything
what
about it though.
fuels the game. That's the majority of our player base. If I'm being honest, and centering the game around like an approachable playstyle that caters more towards those players, in my opinion, is just the W. Jay, what do you think about this?
Hi. Oh,
Good old Jay.
Blonde and I go back and forth about this.
no, I was enjoying the conversation from
Yeah.
over
Of
here.
course you were, Jay.
Right.
I think when it comes to catch-up mechanics, I do think they're an important system for the game so that, players can feel like they can participate in the content that they're putting out for the game. And again, I agree with you that, BDO has done a pretty good job of, when somebody comes back after like 4 years of not playing, they can do seasons, finish seasons with full Pentuvala. They're at that, 580 gear score. They can access a lot of, mid-end grind spots and then easily progress there using the Jatina stuff. I think if we go back to the initial question of are the catch-up mechanics we have currently enough? I think it's in a good spot.
Yeah,
In
I
a
think
good
it's a good
state.
spot too.
Personally, I think maybe we could expand on it a bit. Perhaps maybe instead of just Jatina, Crescent, Narc, and Tungrad Earring, could we maybe expand on Jatina Bassies or Jatina Ogre Rings, possibly, as in a way to maybe expand on it just a little bit? Back to that question of also like of too much as well. Um, I initially thought it was too much of giving out like
No, it's
free
definitely not too
10 black
much.
stars and stuff. I thought that was a good point of to strive for, right? We want players to give them a goal, and Ted Blackstar was a goal as like the next step from seasons. I usually recommend that whenever new players come in, they finish seasons like, what should I go for next? What should I go for next? Ted Blackstar is usually that next like good upgrade for the next goal, and then now they're giving it away. I thought it was initially like not the best, but after seeing it, it's still
It's
okay.
not that bad.
I also do agree with Blonde Bear saying, going from when they give out those things, and then the next step is like 150 bill upgrade. It is like a little bit of a jump. That's why I
It's
asked the question
daunting.
earlier about how
Yeah.
maybe there should be more in between steps. And
Yeah.
technically, God or Ride is kind of like those in between steps, and I was like more referring to maybe there should be some more in between steps with like other stuff. Maybe I don't know, like a step in between Ted and Pandebo or something as like a with a different accessory or something like that. I do kind of want more build diversity in the game. The build diversity in the game kind of is a well, kind of one thing is the best, right? Fallen God tier armors, chest, boots, and gloves as just a one thing, and then we had got Pen Black Stars as the one thing, and now Debos are being pushed as the one best accessory in the game, and like I do think they've taken a step back from build diversity. I think before Debos existed, there was a good balance between Bassies being like the
Yeah, I
cheap,
agree.
efficient option for AP, and then
Mm-hmm.
Valtara's was that extra HP
Yep.
variant, and then Orcanrad's was that you're taking away a little
In
bit of
between
AP
defense,
for
AP with
in exchange
HP.
of more evasion in the
Yeah.
form of extra DP. And then what was it? Turos being that option of accuracy, you're giving away some AP for accuracy. But now AP is, but now Debo belts and Debo like whatever is full AP. It's like pretty much best in slot for every situation for the most part. And so, I do want more build
Yeah.
diversity.
Be nice to have more
And when
build
it comes to
diversity.
like the catch up mechanics, maybe there should be more options for that
But
after
it allows
beat the catch
balancing
up.
to be a little bit better.
There's more choices, but now there's
So I don't
just
know.
one choice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the fact that there's not build diversity, but I think that's kind of like a separate issue here. When it comes to like
Mhm.
catch up mechanics, you can't talk about catch up mechanics without talking about power creep. So like,
True.
although Blonde and I disagree on like the catch up mechanics necessarily, I think that the catch up mechanics in BDO are doing really well. I think that they're kind of striking a relatively perfect balance of giving away stuff for free that new players like desperately need. For example, I think the T9 horse, everyone likes to talk about the Tet Blackstar. In my opinion, I really do think that the T9 horse with all the skills is objectively the biggest W for a new player to be able
Yeah,
to get
T9 horse
around.
is so
The
nice to
world
have.
is so big in BDO.
Mhm.
So big. It's so much bigger than when we all started the game. And they don't give new players a new like a horse, or like until recently just didn't have a horse to explore that with. Even if you bought the season
I'm at
pass, okay, well now you
5%.
have a horse with instant excel.
Uh-oh.
Cool. But like it still didn't have drift, sprint,
That's not
and all
good.
the other skills, right? Until you trained it, which was kind of BS. So I think the Dream Horse is super good. The Tet Blackstar I think is amazing too. It did have kind of a side effect where we saw a lot of new players like make like 50 accounts and like just power level to 61, tap the
not
black star with the
good.
hammers, and then they just used the account that they got the pen black star on. But like aside from that, I really do think that the catch up mechanics are in a pretty good spot, but they always have to keep adding more. Like at least once or twice a year, there needs to be like a significant catch up mechanic added to the game. The first big catch up mechanic we saw added was seasonal. To be honest with you, I think that they need to expand upon seasonal. I think that like a lot of players get to the end of seasonal and they're still not necessarily far enough. It's like the tutorial nowadays, and I don't think that the tutorial
Mouse
like
is
seasonal
about to
introduces them
die.
to enough of the game's mechanics. I think in terms of catch up mechanics for like grinding and your gear, the game's in a pretty good spot. But I really do think in terms of catch up mechanics for like life skillers, like what if a new player wants to come in and start life skilling, what they're just supposed to go gather with a magic tool?
Oh
They're
no,
basically
is it not
griefing
gonna
themselves.
work?
They could just go to Desert
Oh,
Nagas
it
or
is gonna work.
Centaurs or whatever
Oh,
and make like
thank you.
400 or 500 million more silver an hour. I think that there should be two Vala like life skilling equipment that give like duo
Oh
mana
yeah, life
trajectory
scaling equipment
equivalent
would be kind of
basically
cool.
to basically everybody. and to new players that want to like pursue that. You know what I mean? I think it would help encourage new players to like do stuff like that. So it is a sandbox MMO, and although a lot of our focus is on like the main gear, I think that there's not
What?
enough catch-up mechanics for the other systems in the game. Like, and
So we need a Tuvala Karak.
in a way,
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
I wouldn't mind.
Available, so
I
you can
wouldn't
just buy 'em.
mind. Honestly, I would not mind at all if they gave a
Oh
Tuvala
no.
like frigate
Oh
or a
no.
Tuvala
The
equivalent
neighbor
of a
feud.
sailboat, or I mean a caravel. Like
Yeah,
I
that'd be
think that
cool.
like if they wanted to work on it, like they could reach it faster if they're on their seasonal or something. I don't know.
It's
I
so
don't know
weird.
how
Like,
that would
why does he
necessarily work.
decide to blast it though
But
at
they are
like
making boats
10
that way
o'clock at
easier to
night?
get into. But again, like life skilling equipment covers most of the rest of the game. And then yeah, the boat stuff would be amazing too. But like I think that they too commonly
Maybe.
ignore the other players in the game that don't want to just grind all day long for everything that they do. And a new player, bro, you're struggling. If you want to get into like grinding, you can get into grinding so fast. You just speed run your Tuvala gear, and then you're making 400 to 600 million an hour. Bada bing, bada boom, right? But if you want to get into life skilling and you want to get like even up to 2 or 300 million silver per hour, or even 300 million silver a day through like your turn-ins and like your other stuff that you have to do in your cooking and stuff, dude, you're gonna have to spend like 30 or 40 billion silver to even get to a reasonable spot in your life skilling. It's
Is that what's
miserable.
playing?
It's miserable.
You
I know you guys don't like
would
stuff very often,
recognize
but I think
that.
in terms of power creep, that's probably the best. Like
I guess
I would
I
love to
guess
see
that's
more
country, right?
catch-up mechanics for that. Now, if you
At
look
least it's
over
country, I guess.
power creep, now we're gonna look over at the end game players. Do you think that they're
Go out there
progressing?
and start
And
singing.
you guys are the end game players. So when it comes to power creep, you guys have a very like super relevant opinion on this. Do you think that they're power creeping fast enough? Like, do you think that like your gear score is going up at a reasonable level for the amount that you're grinding as an end game players? Blonde, you haven't talked in a while. Or you think it's going up too fast? Do you think it's going up too slow? Is this a good balance? How do you feel about it?
I think it's just very difficult to add specifically more gear that has more stuff, right? If we were to introduce like any new if we're introducing like any new sort of accessory or something, like the next path, right, that we currently have is these Fallen God weapons that we don't know anything about, and then we have the Debo rings. And then like some variation of what content would be the artifacts. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. I like the concept of Fallen God being like, Pride Duo, and then you're equivalent to like your C10, C20, and then Try is like, okay, now I'm above that, and then Tet is like, okay, now you're going further on. I guess I like that, and then Pen is like the meme that you could constantly infinitely progress, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like I need more gear. I feel like gearing's at a point, I guess, in my opinion, where other than like variation builds where you have like a diversity, right? I feel like I just want more things to do other than just grinding for money, which I think is some of the highlights of the game. You have like dungeons, group grind spots that aren't targeted around money, that are targeted around specifically like I want to go to Olin's, for my treasure piece, whatnot, but also get Debos, and then I can maybe make those for profit or just something. Like there's some other extra thing. The dungeons are a good example. Like even if it didn't have the rewards, I'd probably still want to do them if there was like some other collectible. And I think that's like, it kind of ties back to my original point of like, I feel like we do have a really good set of catch-up mechanics, and like you said, I do agree, they have done a good job of like, okay, the Black Star and the Horse were a really good addition to kind of usher in this new next age of the game for the next year or two. But like the next stage after that is like hundreds of billions of silver to grind after they hit like all their Penkaposhas. Like I think they'll go from full Penkaposha and then like maybe like
jump.
base Fallen Gods to like Debos, right? Or something that's 50 and then 100 bill. And I think that for the new player base, it's really hard to like tell someone, hey, you're going to be grinding for a lot of money. Having more of these.
Oh my gosh.
Like the new Blood, for example,
I don't think.
be something that's
I don't
fun,
know.
but also is somewhat
Yeah.
rewarding.
Maybe after a
Yeah.
certain
It's
time.
really, really difficult to.
Like I'm sure there is a noise thing,
It's
ordinance
really difficult
in
for PA to grasp onto the idea of anything other than
where we
grinding
live,
and
but
money and buying
it's probably
costumes.
after like 10:30 or
That's like
something.
how their game
Or
design
12.
has been for such a long time, and they, again, like we were just saying, they never really touch
I
on
would put a
life
fan
skilling
on.
or catch them up They did a cool thing with the Land of Morning Light, doing the multi-gathering, so you spend more energy to get a bunch of materials. But that's like more again of a quality of life thing rather than something.
What are you
new,
what are you
innovative
what are you telling her
on the
back?
life skills.
Yep.
So it's really difficult. I think the PA just isn't listening to that portion because they're still trying to figure out like, okay, like we have a lot. They see the numbers and they know they've got a lot of people. People fresh out of like season going into or pre-ordering crons so early that like between between
true.
650 gear score and 750 gear score, you're all buying crons, and that's your upgrade is crons, right?
Yeah.
Hundreds of billions of silver in crons, which are all funded by people that buy in the
Buy
game,
the
or
game, yeah.
they buffed like the raw silver in certain spots so you can buy
What
the
did it say?
vendor maybe, if you want to.
What did it say? What's
It's
the law
tough. It's
or
tough.
Just
the
to speak on
rule?
your point there a little bit, I think that they honestly hit the nail on the head. First of all, Blonde, completely agree with you. I think that power creep and endgame progression is actually the biggest way to give new players catch-up mechanics. So although the new players are catching up quickly, the endgame players still have something to do if it's the side progression. It's not necessarily increasing your direct gear score level, but something like the Tyvek belt is perfect.
Yes.
Right? Technically, it's a negative AP, right? But like it gives your allies like a super buff for like a short amount of time. Right? Like that's super sick. It's something that endgame players can grind for, and it also allows like a new player to be like, I can still catch up to this person because they're busy trying to make all this extra stuff, right? Like all this other stuff.
I think I was getting misinterpreted. I wasn't
So what
trying to
did it
sound
say?
elitist with the way of the design that I was.
Oh, it is
earlier.
10?
I just know.
Told you there's probably a
people
time.
that go from like straight from seasonal.
Wouldn't that be funny? It
Trying to
just
see if they're
stops at
playing,
10.
and then their next upgrade is Pen Black Star and like okay.
Wait, is there
Pen
like
or
is it
like
during the
Pen
week?
and that's
What about on the
really
weekend?
hard to tell a new player. All right.
Oh,
Here's
okay, it's the
this
same every
buff.
day. I was about to say, it's like on the
100
weekend,
plus
12 o'clock.
hours and go get this until you can upgrade your gear a little bit and then go to the next spot and the next spot. It's not the most motivating thing, and the gap between 700 and 750, sure, if you're talking about PvP is like particular, but you can access a majority of the content at 301, 401. It'll just be a little tougher. You may need to use elixirs or certain perfumes and stuff, but you can access all the content. You can access 90% of the content in the game at
Oh, is that what she said?
650 gear score, right? And so I think it's
not really. Not
you don't think
anymore.
so?
No. I
really?
think
what's 650? It's
so like you can't do anything Gyphon and above. You also like you're also gonna struggle to do
Really?
anything.
Yeah,
above
well,
giants,
she's pregnant, so.
like I
But
think
I
that
said she's
to be
pregnant,
honest,
so.
you hit on a
But
good point. I think the catch-up
I said
mechanics
she's
for new
pregnant.
players, they speed run through their
Yeah.
Tuvala. They can get to like 600, 630 gear score pretty quickly in a very
So
reasonable amount
probably
of time.
everything is just kind
and
of
then it starts to slow down. But then I think their
irritating.
options
But
also narrow dramatically.
I don't
as
know.
they
I
start
mean,
to
I
level. Like,
would not
what's
cause
your
any
answer? You know what?
drama.
I'll ask you this question.
I'm sure once the
If
new
a player
people
came
move
into your
in,
chat and
they
was
have
like,
kids, they're
where would you
older.
recommend
I'm
I
sure they'll
grind
probably say
301,
something.
380?
I don't
Where are
tell
you
them
sending
anywhere.
them?
I tell them to find a spot
That's what I
they
would
like
say.
and sit in it, bro.
But what's the
There are
only
players
spot in the
there are
game that
players
is
that still
objectively
grind
better?
lower Sakraya.
What?
I mean,
Like, he seemed
Well,
nice. There's
my
no
point
need
is
to
that there are spots in the game at these stepwise, like you're always telling them to go to
piss
lower
anyone
Gyphon.
off.
Every single time. If they're like 301, 380, anywhere in this like, and before that, it's basically orcs and lower Sakraya, right? Like those are their two basically options. They could technically go to Serendia Elvia, so like, but they're when they're a
I'm really
new
surprised
player,
they can
you
hear
grind
it.
any of the Valencia zones.
They're on the other
Low,
side.
low-end
Yeah.
zones, upper Giffen, upper Gyphon, and all this stuff, right? And then when they start to get gear, okay, well now it
Oh, is what he
narrows
said?
dramatically. Now you can only
Like
really
just
grind
now?
Serendia Elvia and then maybe lower Sakraya.
Well,
and then they get even more gear, and now you have like one or two. You can go to Giants, you can go to Gyphon, and those are your two options. Like you really can't go anywhere else. And I think that that's a big problem for players. Is there's just a lack of options at these big gear score cutoff points.
I think it's a player mentality issue too. For a long time, people would just like always spit out like streamers for a long time would spit out like, oh, where do I grind? Oh, this one spot. You're gonna go to orcs. You're gonna go to orcs. I just think that people weren't so like harebrained on like literally the top 1% of money per hour. There are plenty of spots that are a little bit less or a little bit of this or that are still good that are lower requirements than other spots.
But you're not wrong. But like, there's also a point where like for Serendia Elvia, I would agree with you. You could go to Baragi, right? You could technically go to Castle Ruins. Altar Imps is still kind of griefing, but it is what it is. You could go to the Nagas or the Fogans, right? But like again, as you reach like this, you get past that and you start to break through to like the first step into like the higher level zones. It's really only Giants and Gyfin. Like, can you think of another spot that really has requirements for like 380 DP?
Well, I think there's a point where you're going to gain a lot of DP because you're getting all of your Kafirs and stuff that, like, you're not going to use that DP at all. Like, that's just, I mean, unfortunately, that's the design of the game. That wasn't how they originally designed it, but,
Well,
like, people were sitting on C10, C20, and then slowly pushing each gear individually. I don't know.
some people are saying Calpheon
it's kinda
Elvia,
tough.
and I think that Calpheon Elvia requires 380, 390 DP. But like it's going to be objectively worse. The only thing in Calpheon Elvia, it's Giants, and then if I suggest to somebody, if I'm like, hey, go grind Hex Murray, bro, most people are going to be like, dude, you're griefing. Why would you tell him that? And now you're right about like people get elitist and it's like, oh, if you make a little bit less money, but like if you enjoy the spot, it's like really good.
Yeah.
But like there is actually a huge gap between like the money, the silver power you're making in a spot like Gyfin, which they keep updating, by the way. They keep updating and buffing Gyfin. Like
Because
so
everybody keeps grinding there.
right.
That's why.
Well, but like they keep
it's an overly populated spot.
Yes, I
That's
know,
why they
but like
keep
that's because it
buffing.
makes the most money and you're getting crazy EXP. It's a slam dunk. You just can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Versus like Hex
yeah.
Marie, where you lose out on
Which
the
they don't do often
EXP.
anymore.
Yeah,
and
I
300
heard it stop
million
at
silver per
midnight.
hour. You're like, okay, well, like it's just kind of a no-brainer. I think that they should buff some of the Calpheon Elvia spots so that players are making like comparable amounts of silver between the spots. They don't have to be exactly the same, but they should be within 200 million of each other. And right now they are not.
I mean, they do these cycles where it's like we're going to do a lot of class balance, we're going to update current spots, we're going to upgrade what's like mostly seen at most places, but like and then they go back through a wave and then they adjust all the old stuff, and then every few years they'll adjust life skills and stuff. I think it's just one of those cycles where they have X amount of devs and each of those devs is already given a task list of stuff they got to get done, and then when they finish all these tasks, they're going to I think that's how it is because we only ever see things in phases. We never see. There's so much times where like we'll have like a major.
Has Jake really talked at all this podcast?
Isn't really a big deal, but it's a big deal to us. That doesn't get changed for 6 months. But then we get something like what was it? People were using Gruntle, and that shiz was fixed immediately. That stuff is fixed instantly, and you're not allowed to even think about it before. I couldn't even think about it before it was already fixed. So I just think that there's some things that are like huge priorities that they stick to, and they're like, oh shiz, we got to do this. But then there's a lot of other stuff where they just have a cycle of content they're going to go through, and there's some like the offhands. The offhand 10% wasn't fixed for what was it, 5 or 6 months almost, right?
Oh yeah,
because
the green offhands. The green offhands,
really a massive priority. It was important, but it wasn't like game breaking important versus.
I don't know, man.
The Gruntle AP was important.
Once they kicked it up, but they kicked it up the priority list though, because it may have taken them a few months to fix that problem. But the second they saw that happening with Gruno, they're like, we're not having this again. And
I just think it's one of those cycle things where they don't have one guy that's sitting there at the Calpheon Elvia and Serendia Elvia spots, and he's like got the numbers there, and he's just waiting for someone to send a ticket in and report it to him. Like I just don't think that exists. I think that there's like they're all in teams where they work on an individual thing and they're pushing this through and they're working on this and they're pushing this through. And I think that the majority of people are talking right now about like PvP balance, PvE balance, class balance. I mean, because the class balance for PvE stuff kind of got like just finished right at the end of last year, and now we're working on the PvP balances and stuff, and then they're also revamping the current endgame spots, which I think is important too. I think that's something that gets underlooked at, like as like, some people will. It's crazy. It's like whiplash. I see feedback where it's like people are like, man, they're paying too much attention to the casual player base and adjusting all these lower spots. They're not doing any new spots. And then I also have people at the end game that are telling me, oh man, I just wanted something new to grind. I'm so bored of all these spots. I've already done like 50 to 100 hours at these spots that are the end, and I'm just like. This is crazy that I'm hearing it on both ends. That both people think that the game is focusing on opposite ends of the community sometimes. I don't know what to say about that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like Jay, what's your take on this? Do you feel like your end game? Let's cycle back, so that Jay can answer the original question and kind of flow through it. How do you feel about power creep in the game? You're 765 years or some crazy shit right now. So like. How do you feel about power creep? Would you rather see, like Blonde Bear said, see things like the tieback belt, right? Or would you rather just your number keep going up like steadily over time like this?
I don't mind number going up, to be honest. I like when number go up.
Of course.
It makes me feel good.
But would you care? But would you care if number instead went up, number went like sideways?
Number went sideways. Okay. if it like branched out more, if the number would branched out more, that would be, I think, a really good example of number going branching out more was when they added the cups to Serendia Elvia. I feel like that gave players a little bit more choice and also like grind diversity too in Serendia Elvia. Like you could grind to orcs or you could grind Castle Ruins for the red cookie, right? And or you could grind Baragi Den or Bloody Monastery for the yellow cookie, or you could grind Fogins or Imps for the blue cookie, right? There's like more choices on grinding for this like additional thing, and also you couldn't really realistically buy them too, so you kind of have to go out of your way to buy. I like doing that. I like going out of my way to be able to get this like extra thing that you don't necessarily have to prioritize. Like you don't have to prioritize like the cups, right? But you can go for this other thing instead of going for Ted to Pen Black Star. You could go for your yellow cup, which is a damage upgrade, but not that big of a damage upgrade. But it is a damage upgrade that you can branch off of from your main big jump into this side enclave, if that makes sense, to still progress and then keep going.
Godslinger, thanks for the raid, big man.
Eventually later. So I kind of wish there was more of that, and that could be a way to like, instead of going sideways, you go forward, but like branching out like a tree,
Yeah, no, like I like that. I would rather see more side progression, whereas like we're increasing our stats and then buffing our allies, but then again they would have to give us something to do with our allies that was productive, like the last level of the dungeon.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying this a long time. Is scaling content. Like I feel like they could really amp it up by just adding something that allows players to infinitely like strive for. Where it does, I guess to be more specific, like I keep repeating this, is utilizing the dungeon, like utilizing their assets they've made in the past that they haven't been utilizing a lot. But I just feel like maybe just like more difficult versions of like I wouldn't even mind if they just literally gave Dekia Ataraxian, as like you need
low effort. That bar is so low for Jay, bro. So low. No, give us like.
That's how desperate I am for something.
I can't believe they haven't given us the last level of the dungeon. Again, like I think that there's a lot that they could do. Like this most recent grind zone could have been a party grind zone. I want to see more like 2 and 3 man grind zones. Like, do we have like a crazy end game 2-man spot, like other than like Deki Aturos, right? Which is an old spot that is like it's literally an old spot that they just jacked up the stats for, right? Like that. Yeah. Like we'd like a new spot. Like, bro, they nailed it with Olins. They know they nailed it with Olins. Why can't we just have Olins, but like at home?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Okay. Any final thoughts on catch-up mechanics, power creep? I know that we disagree a little bit on like the catch-up mechanics in there, but I think that we can all agree that the power creep tied in with catch-up mechanics. I think they're kind of nailing the end game power creep now, and they're kind of allowing end game players to progress at like a reasonably slow level, while allowing like the new players to basically speed run the new areas. But I think the only like the really big thing as far as catch-up mechanics goes is that like there's just no catch-up mechanics for like anything but grinding, and that's frustrating to me. So like again, I like life scaling and boat content could definitely use some sort of Tuvala equivalent where you could just speed run through that early stuff and then kind of just like get started with it. But we are out of time. So let's do closing thoughts real quick.
Right at an hour.
Blonde, we'll start with you. You're muted again?
You're muted.
You've been muted for a while.
How was I muted? I was like talking to you. I don't know how I got muted. That's
You've been muted this whole time. You have literally been muted for like
I was like, no, I think we actually agree on the catch-up mechanics. I think there are a decent enough amount of catch-up mechanics.
And I talked right over you.
Oh, okay.
And I talked right over you. Yeah, because you were muted as.
Yeah.
Okay, well then tell us what you've been saying for the last like.
I was just gonna say I think we generally agree. I think there have been a good steady pace of catch-up mechanics. I think ever since season they've done a good job. I don't know how they bridge that gap, finding a way to do seasonal plus. I don't know how they're
nice.
Gonna do that
There's the hour.
Like unless unless there's a easier, cheaper way to convert your Tuvala to pen, which is there's already Jutina, so you go to pen, and cappers are going down because we've capped all the fallen gods, so players are going to get that. I don't know how they make it really any easier, other than like again just handing out free gear, which some people like, some people don't like. It kind of kills the economy in certain ways, like certain slots are kind of taken up. But I think we generally agree. I just think that it's okay if an MMO demands a little bit of time from the player to play the game. I think we maybe differ on that a little bit, but generally
I'm okay. Well, no. That statement I think is okay. But like again, you need to have like the Elden Ring approach where a player can just like kind of pick it up and play a lot of the main content that they want to play for X amount of time,
Okay,
and then put it back down again.
Well, I think it's tough because as they keep introducing
All
more
right.
content that has higher and higher requirements, the natural like average of like spots you're
Good
gonna go
stuff.
to, which for
I'll
a
be right
long
back.
time
I'm
was
gonna end
Orcs
this
and
stream
Sakraya,
here for BDO and
is
then
shifting
relaunch
over.
Ravedon.
And so, like, I
I'll
think
be right back.
on the whole, most people have shifted over. I mean, a lot of people that had like tets that got the free tet were then able